hard to believe. Hey guys, what's up? Cledus Judd, and we're back at you with another edition, a video podcast of Straight to the Point. Got two of my buddies here. I call this gentleman right here to my left the mayor. He runs he thinks he runs the show over at the no, I'm kidding, at Recovery Point here in Huntington. And my buddy Thomas, who I've gotten to know over the last few weeks. And man, thank y'all so much for jumping on here with me. I had a chance to spend some time listening to, I guess what they call it at Recovery Point, when someone stands up before everybody and it's called their lead.
Their lead.
And I got to watch Joe last week stand up and give his lead. And listen, I've watched, and Thomas, I'm sure you've heard it many times, and I've not got to hear yours yet. But Anthony Robbins is an incredible motivational speaker. Joel Osteen, who I'm a big fan of, you may not be, is an incredible motivational speaker. This dude right here, whatever they pay him at Recovery Point, it's not enough money, because his story is, and the way he gives his story is, it's inspiring, and it should give people, and that's why we do this, is to give people hope that even at the darkest, deepest, lowest you can get, they make something that you can get out of trouble with. One is called the Bible. That's what I generally tend to lean towards. But man, Thomas, I'm gonna start with you, man. If you don't care, because I'm afraid if I don't, you may not get a chance. You may not get a chance, because this man right here can bring it. He should be a Pentecostal preacher, I'm telling you. But man, give the people out there a little. Some of the things you just told me in the last 5 minutes before we started rolling. Before we get to the bad of the bad, man, what was growing up like for you? I know Joe and I kind of share a little semblance, because we didn't have the absolutely horrific childhood. You know, I mean, it wasn't perfect by no means. I had a little bit of abuse in my teenage years, but nothing. But how about your growing up? How about your childhood?
I'll be honest with you. I had absolutely no reason really to grab onto the drugs and the alcohol the way that I did. My father was a minister, my mother was a teacher, so I had every opportunity to do the right thing. But for some reason, it's like I was attracted to this other side, and I don't know why.
I'm sure if you knew why, you would probably nicked that in the bud real quick.
Just pushed it away,
Right.
but I didn't.
When did you discover that? I mean, when did you start noticing that? Middle school, high school?
I was 13. I started drinking alcohol pretty heavily when I was 13 years old. I was hanging out with the wrong kind of kids, wanted to be the rock star and all this and that, tried to play guitar. We had a two-man band, and thinking,
and you played both instruments, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Played all the instruments. But it started young for me, when I was 13. And
now the alcohol, it started beer, liquor, whatever. In most lives, next thing comes the weed, because it's not such a looked down upon, and then from the weed it go. Is that the kind of the way it happened for you?
The adversary is sly. He's a roaring lion seeking who may devour, and that's exactly what happened. It was a very slow progression for me. I started out with alcohol. I did it for a little bit. Smoked some weed after that, then the next thing you know, here comes the cocaine, right?
Right.
I like to say I did that once for about 10 years,
Yeah, one time for 10 years.
About 10 years.
Man, the first time you did that, I know y'all have heard my story. I talk about, first time I drank that crank and that coffee, I thought, okay, this is it right here, Lord. I mean, there's nothing else that I ever want to do except this right here. And of course, I spent the next 15 years never felt that way again ever. But when you hit that, was it immediate addiction, or did you think, okay, this shouldn't be too bad on me?
I loved it. I did, but I was scared of it all at the same time.
Right.
And it wasn't around much from the area that I grew up in Williamson, Mingo County, that area. It wasn't real prevalent for at that time. And it's just back in '93, '94. So it wasn't really prevalent out there.
Undoubtedly, you didn't know him back in '93.
Absolutely not.
Because when we hear history, it would have been more prevalent had he been around at that time, of course. Now it went from the cocaine, crack, anything.
Absolutely, yeah. I smoked it, snorted it. I wasn't into putting any kind of needles or anything in my arms, things of that nature. I was very I was very against that.
Right, yeah.
I lost a family member to things of that nature, and I pushed that away. I made sure that wasn't a part of my story then, but little I know it became part of my story later.
Did it really?
on.
Did
Absolutely.
it progress to that point?
It did. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease at the age of 15 and was prescribed pain medication, fentanyl to be exact. Was Jersey patch at the age of 15. Wow. I didn't really even know what I had. But with me, being around the kind of people that I was around, they let me know real quick what I had. And then just began to abuse it, things of that nature, and that's when it progressed into went from the alcohol, pot. When I went from cocaine, because it became such a problem in my life at that age, at that stage of my life, that I was like, I've got to quit this. I still had a little bit of choice then. Self-will was still involved at that point. Yeah. So I started to get on the pain medications, and it got yanked from me. Like doctors are supposed to do. They see a problem happening here, it got taken from me, and once that happened, I got introduced to the heroin, things of that nature.
And that's when it went to
debacle
hell in a
really started.
handbasket, right?
Absolutely.
And I'll probably say it on every episode of this that we do. That's one thing I can't speak intelligently about, because I never made it to that level. But I've never heard one human being in my life, even sitting in this chair, I've come across in my many travels, that ever come to me and said, I got a lot done on that stuff. Yeah. Boy, did I do a good job raising my kids, while I was popping that needle in my arm. And they say that's a whole nother level of high. And I would imagine, and you told me just a minute ago that next thing you know, the chase is on at that point. Probably don't think you can live without it. Got to find it, get it by whatever means.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have the money, you go find a way to go get the money, right?
Absolutely.
That's where the hell began for you. You were telling me just a minute ago.
It did. It escalated into the where all that mattered was that drug. I ended up robbing 3 7-Elevens, and ended up getting incarcerated over it, and got 10 years over that.
And that was that wasn't just going in, going, hey, give me your money. That was with an all. You had something.
I had a knife. I had a knife. I wasn't. I knew better than to have a gun or something because I wasn't there to hurt anyone. I just wanted some money to get what I needed.
Right. At any cost.
At any cost at that point. Yeah. But got caught, of course, went to prison, went to jail, and me and this fellow while we were in there, while I was in there as well.
Let me ask you before I lose my train of thought. Did you ever once, when you were going in those, and I know Joe touched on this in his lead, but did you ever once, when you went in that convenience store, you knew that you were going to get caught?
Absolutely.
But did that enter your mind at that point? It was that just, hey, that's the least of my worry. I worry about that because that's what you said the other day. They worry about the repercussion later.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah, I knew I was going to get caught probably eventually, but I didn't realize that it was a life. It was punishable up to life. I had no idea of that. The obsession was so real in my mind that I was so focused on just getting what I needed to make myself as well as my mother's child.
Right.
Or, I'm sorry, my child's mother.
I got you.
That's all that mattered. I didn't care about my children. I didn't care, that my daughter was with me along with one of the robberies.
Oh wow!
Wow.
That's tough.
That is how real this obsession in our minds is. How.
There's not a parent in the world could not understand that.
No.
Having not dealt with. I mean, in your right mind and a sober mind and body, you can't sit there and look me in the eye and say that you would have ever put your child in any kind of danger or anything like. No, that's got to be drug induced for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing to look back on, and I know that's also the adversary trying to get into my brain again and catch me back up again and get me back out there, because self-pity is a real thing when you're in on the other side of this and you're getting sober again. While you're in there getting this knowledge and learning about yourself, and you've let the God of your understanding into your heart. And he's correcting these things. The adversary's out there doing push-ups too. He's gaining this knowledge as well.
Right.
And finds new and disgusting ways to trip you up. And self-pity is one of those tools that they use. And through going through recovery point, things of that nature, I've gained a spiritual toolkit. To fight off the
How long you been clean?
This time I've been clean 6 months so far.
6 months.
Yeah.
And you know what? It probably feels like. Does it feel like 10 years, or it feel like one day? How do you feel with a sober mind and a good sober heart?
I feel great today. I really do. The most important thing for me today is, the big book tells us that, to be of maximum service to God and the people about us is the thing that we're chasing. That's exactly the greatest thing in my life today. That's what I strive to do each and every day. And by helping these other people, God helps us.
Yeah.
It helps us in our recovery.
A guy told me last night when we were over there, and I was telling Joe, we're doing a bunch of haircuts, and a lot of the guys gave consent to come in and hang with us, and some didn't, which I totally get, no issue. But one of the guys said, man, I got tired of running.
Yeah,
I got
absolutely.
tired, and I told him, I said, man, you'll not believe the elation that one's soul gets when you quit running and start chasing.
That's
and
right.
when I mean chasing, not the dope, not the high, not the the illegal activity, but start chasing something worthwhile, a dream, a goal, no matter what it is. It can be as small as just sobriety for the next day or the next week or whatever. But man, I've always said there's such a big difference in my life. I got tired of running too, and the chase is a lot more fun than the run, I can tell you, because you got something to look forward to, and man, I'm glad you're definitely an inspiration.
Yeah,
And,
the book says that if we go about this with one half the zeal that we went about with chasing our next drink or drug, we'll be amazed before we're halfway through. And that's exactly what it takes to stay sober.
Man, with that being said, Joe, y'all do a thing at Recovery Point where they go to work. They call it trudging. Is that what it is? Where they walk a couple of miles, I think, rain, sleet, snow, whatever it is, because you walk 10 miles to get a half ounce of cocaine, I can tell you. So you're gonna have to learn to walk 2 miles to go get a job. So how does that work over there?
Well, it works like it's basically we're having you to put all the effort you put in to getting high, to get your dope. If you really want a better life, you're gonna put the same, like he said, put the same zeal as you did when you was getting high or buying dope. You go to any length. Now turn that around and do your recovery.
Right.
That's the only thing that saved me was I had to do the same thing. I was like, well, at the worst, if it don't work, I'll be sober a year. Because my buddy went through it.
Right.
He said it's about 9 months to a year. So after I was there, I was like, well, I'm really going to try and see if this will work. And everything that they have you to do is the same stuff that you've done for your dope.
Right. Right. I've noticed that.
You got to get out. You walk 2.3 miles to class, get a couple hours for lunch, then you walk back. And the heat, the
cold, the sleet,
the
the
rain.
Snow. Yeah.
What I went through, you had to take your meeting sheet and hopefully find a piece of plastic you could wrap your coat. Yeah. If you walked in the rain, your meeting sheet got wet and it got tore up. Oh, that was an issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, well, I can't help it. You got me walking in there. No, well, you should have protected
Figure it out. I bet you'd protect that
Dope.
that 8 ball of dope.
Yes,
You wouldn't have let that guy no water in it for $1 million.
100%.
Now I'm gonna take the people back watching a little bit, because I know a lot of people are gonna watch this. You had said in your lead, pretty good childhood, had a great mom and dad. A stepdad came into your life. Your dad ended up doing some things that you kind of followed in his footsteps a little bit. But and one of the most prolific things you said to me was, it wasn't always about the money; it was about the power.
The power.
And man, you see that kind of thing on TV. When you watch these, Gambino crime family A&E specials, it's all about the power. And man, it's almost like when you're the guy and you were the guy. I mean, this guy moved. How much did you get charged with that ghost dope you were telling me?
5,267,000 grams of ghost dope.
5,267,000 grams, and a gram is about that. And do 5 million of them.
Yeah.
It wouldn't fit in all these chairs.
It wouldn't fit in this room.
Just about. No. It was, and that's. So that's when you got the power. So when you've got that much dope at your exposure, or it's almost like you're they're puppets.
Oh, that's
And
what it
you're
was.
you're the puppeteer, and you can just you were saying you can have them do anything you want because they wanted to make sure you were going to be at home
To sell
when
them
they
dope.
come to buy the dope.
And
right?
that's just to sell them dope. You know, there's a lot to when you're doing the dope gang. You know, you want to get high, and then it went from it was getting boring to me to get high, but I had to get high to feed my addiction,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So after that, you get bored. Your mind gets bored. Well, what else can I do? Well, I just wanted to see how
far I can push.
far I could push this and see how much power it's got. Cocaine had more power than money itself,
Right.
and it just kept getting worse and worse. But also I was using, you know, but my mind would get bored, and I just couldn't stop, you know.
How bad was your how bad was your addiction?
Well,
I mean, I hear war stories like Thomas's, but
I'm going to tell you just straight up.
Sure.
I got high every day. Okay, I never used a needle.
Right.
Okay, but never done the heroin. You know,
Me
I did cocaine for a while, and crank, and but also done a lot of dope dealing. So I never was going overboard to where, you know, like what you see in the streets, but I stayed high. And my addiction, I probably got up to, I don't know, probably a good $200-300 a day addiction.
Right.
You know, and
that's an 8 ball a day.
well, yeah, well, probably about a quarter ounce a day of, you know, but
You got it cheaper than most.
Yeah,
so,
I got- well, you know, and
you're
that's
on
what-
the inside.
that's what attracted me to everything was, you know, I started getting high. I like getting high. I started out with weed, just like most
Right.
people do.
Right.
So I'm like, man, weed getting expensive. I was like, well, if I get more, I'll sell this, and then my stuff won't cost me as much.
Yeah.
And then cocaine hit, you know, wow, you know, back in the early '80s, that
Oh,
was
yeah,
the
you
wow.
can nobody do without it.
Right,
Yeah.
you know, so and you know, so I'm like, well, I like cocaine, but I don't like paying that price for it, so I'll get some more, I'll sell, and then mine's free.
Just a cycle then.
Yeah, it
wasn't
was just a bit. So it's either you're addicted to the life, and I love the lifestyle. I love the fact that you had to come to me and ask me for something, and I had the power to say I ain't got it, or I'll get it, or I'll do this, and then it would go, and your addiction would take over. Next thing you're doing, you're doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing.
Oh, yeah.
You're hooking, you're crooking, you're breaking the law, and you know, I just got. Finally, when I come down to recovery point, I was just tired, beaten down, and
Enough's enough.
enough's enough. You know, I gave the state and the feds enough of my life, and you know, wasn't around to raise my kids. You know, so I finally just got to the point to where, you know, I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm really, cause I've been in probably 5 or 6 different rehabs over the last 35, 40 years in
Right.
West Virginia, but I never tried them. You know, I mean, I get there,
Yeah, yeah.
I was either court ordered or mom ordered me to them,
Right.
and I'd go and I'd leave or I'd get kicked out, you know, but once you had enough, this disease, now this is just me personally,
That's all right.
I believe that the word alcoholism is a disease of more.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it don't. When I say tell somebody alcoholism, most people think you're drinking.
Yeah, I did. I said
Okay,
that to you
yeah,
when you
well,
mentioned that to me.
yeah.
I didn't know the difference.
Well, the word alcoholism to me, it could be cocaine, meth, heroin, fentanyl.
Gambling.
It could be gambling.
porn, whatever.
It could be overeating. It could be whatever.
Yeah.
To me, I break it down to anything that interrupts the normal flow of your life. You know, you go out and spend your whole paycheck at the gambling spot. You can't pay rent, can't feed your kids.
That's
you
an
know,
addiction.
you can't stop because it's like whatever triggers your feel good to make you feel good, you can't stop, and that's what us addicts do. You know, we're like, man, that feels if this much feels.
Oh yeah. If that cup of coffee was that good, what about 2 cups?
Yeah, well, yeah. If this
Yeah.
much feels good, then
Yeah.
this much must feel better. And that's what we do. If we like something, you know, we try a piece of pie, a little piece of pie. Man, that's good. Give me, you know. That's what That's what to me is how I broke it down to explain it to me and break it down for my addiction. Because you know, I've been to hospitals and they're just like, well, this part of the brain's connected to this and this
Right,
up here,
right.
and you're just like, I was like, what are you talking about? Well, these leads go to this part. Yeah,
Receptors
and all this shit. And I'm
yeah.
like, that don't make no sense to me. So I need it broke down to where, in layman's terms, to where I could understand it. You know what I'm saying? And like he said, while you're getting better, your disease is out in the parking lot doing push-ups. Well,
Absolutely.
I picture my disease. He stands here on my little left shoulder.
Yeah.
And I picture my disease of alcoholism as a little monster. He's about this tall. He's green, got pointed ears, red eyes, fang teeth, a viper tail, and he stands right there on my shoulder, right? And he's everything negative that happens in my life, he's trying to talk to me. But every day I get up, and I know this is going to sound crazy.
No, I don't.
Every day I get up, when I stand up in the morning to get up to go to work, I just turn to my left and I just acknowledge him. You know what I'm saying? I know, because every day I've got to acknowledge I've got a disease.
Sure.
And it's something I don't have to die from, but I'm going to die with the disease.
Right.
I just ain't going to die from the
From the
disease.
disease.
I'm not going to let
Yeah.
him. I'm not going to let him get. And every time, every day, you don't acknowledge him, he gets a little closer. Once he gets close enough to get inside that head,
It's over.
it's over. Because,
right back.
yeah, you talk to people that's got 2, 3, 4 years of sobriety, and they relapse. I guarantee it. Most of the people that's done that I've asked, I'm like, man, what happened? I don't know. Next thing I know, I was high. I was like, what do you mean? Next thing you know, he's like, I don't know, because the big book tells us, cunning, baffling, powerful. That's what the disease of alcoholism is. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful, because you just don't know. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what triggers that. You know, personally, I don't believe in what they say triggers. You know, if I'm in recovery and next thing I know, a buddy of mine pulls up, he's like, hey man, I got a bag here.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
Sound the same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's either you want to get high or you don't want to get high.
Right.
Either way. But
I've never watched a TV show that they're sitting there, laying out rails on the TV
Yeah,
and go,
that's
oh
right.
God,
Yeah,
that
that-
made me want to go get. Nah, that didn't affect
well,
me
see,
that way.
you know, God put triggers into you. You know, I mean, it's just something you got. You know, like if you smell somebody making pizza and it's, damn, it smells a good pizza.
Yeah.
I want some pizza.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But so if I see drugs, like you said on TV, if a buddy of mine shows up and he's got drugs, you know, just personally speaking, I don't believe that trigger. If you showed up at my house, you're like, hey, Joe, I got a bag of dope, and I've been clean and I'm like, oh, well, all right,
Dang
let's
it.
go.
Yeah, let's go. What the heck?
So if I do that, then that's just a reservation. I already wanted to get high.
Oh yeah.
I was
yeah.
just looking for the
Just
door.
waiting for the right time.
I just waiting for somebody to crack that door open
Yeah.
so I could get on through. It was
Yeah.
locked.
Yeah,
You know?
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, you know, so.
Last thing I want you to tell everybody before we go, and,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna get you to do the 2-minute version. But you said that you had went down to Florida, and you were, and y'all got to hear this quick story. You went down to Florida, just decided to go around the middleman
Yeah.
and become the man, and he
Yeah.
met some. Went down to a boat dock down there, met some Haitians that happened to be in the
game.
in our business at the time, and it was a life changer for you, wasn't it?
Well, like I said, I was young, dumb, had a lot of money, and I just thought that I could go down and cut the middleman out and make me the man.
Yeah.
Right?
Powers.
Power. So I get down there and I'm down there for about 4 or 5 days, and I realize I don't have the heart to do what I thought I had. I'm getting ready to leave, and some old man comes up to me and takes me on a boat and takes me down. There's guys down there about my age. And,
In the bottom of the boat at this point.
yeah, and they're down there watching TV, and he said, what'd you want? And I told him, well, he's like, man, why would you think it's on this boat? I said, well, that old man, he said, man, don't listen to that old man. I had like 140 on me.
140,000.
So he says, and the whole way down there, I'm like, man, I'm probably just gonna get ripped off. I'm gonna lose my money. I'm gonna get ripped off. I'm gonna get ripped off. I'm gonna get ripped off. Was all I kept telling myself. I was like, man, but I know if I just look him in the eye and talk to him. Well, when I told him what I wanted, he just looked at me. He's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, I got money. He's like, man, you got 140 on you. He's like, you got a gun? I said, no. He said, who you with? I said, I'm by myself. He said, man, you get on a boat, you don't know, with that much money and no gun? I said, yeah. He said, I looked at him, I said, I know. He just ripped me off. And he leaned over close to me, about this close, looked me dead in the eye.
This is where it gets good.
He just looked me dead in the eye. He's like, man, I ain't gonna rip you off. And for that 2 seconds, I felt relief. I'm like, oh, thank God. He's like, I'm just gonna kill you. Take your money. I'm like, well, that thought never crossed my mind.
That didn't come into
That
the
didn't come,
equation.
that
did
didn't
it?
come into the equation. I was like, no, I'll go ahead and you go ahead and rip me off then.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's-
let's go back to the rip off. I was like, wow. And I was like, but it worked out. I'm still here. I'm talking to you. So apparently he didn't. But
That gift of gab got you out of
Oh,
that
that
one.
gift-
That's what
Yeah.
we talk our way out of things.
yeah,
there.
that was what I was definitely blessed with. I had a plug down in Wilmington that told me, he said I would owe him like 50 grand, right? And he said, Joe, you the only one that come in my house, owe me 50 grand. I'm getting ready to kill you, and you walk out owing me more.
That's that gift of gab right there. I guarantee you.
It saved me a bunch of times, But
Well, I can tell you this much, and I'm only a few weeks in. I've met a lot of people in my travels. People tell me more than they probably tell y'all inside Recovery Point, because maybe I'm not as much of a threat, or what would be the word, some kind of power threat to them, because I'm just a kind of I try to go over every morning and shake all the guys' hands and give them a hug, see how their day's going, and they'll talk to me some, but I can tell you on both of your parts, there's a lot of respect for both of you, and you give a lot of people, a lot of young men, older men, they some of those over there too, hope, because if you can come out of the depths of hell where y'all been, and even as bad as these gentlemen's stories are, especially Thomas with holding up convenience stores, man, these guys, I always say I'm in primary school compared to these guys. These guys are in middle school compared to some of the other stories that we're privileged to hear. And that's why we're trying to do this, is to show people, man, as bad as it gets, but people say you got to hit rock bottom. Hell, most people don't know where rock bottom's at, because as low as you can get,
you can always do it.
oh yeah, you can dig you another level. There's layers until you reach the depths of hell, and then that's your rock bottom. When it's all over, that's when you've hit rock bottom. So, man, Recovery Point is better off for having people like y'all.
Thank you.
And I mean that, with no reservation at all. And thanks for sharing your story with me,
Okay,
and
buddy.
with people watching. Hey guys, we're gonna get out of here. That's another edition of Straight to the Point. Hey, like I always say, if you don't get help at Recovery Point, make dang sure you reach out and get it somewhere. It's a start, and never give up on yourself. Believe in yourself, because the good Lord believes in you, and He is the most important. Y'all have a great week. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
See y'all.